Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Farmer Nash, and today we have a very, very special interview. We have one of the biggest, if not the very biggest, Cardano NFT founder right now for the Ape Society. I am here with Cardman. Cardman, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you've done so far.
Hey Nash, yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm Cardman. Where I'm along with my two co-founders, Matasa and Panzerati, as people know him as on Twitter. We are the founders of one of the biggest NFTs on Cardano, the Ape Society. As of today, actually, we are the highest floor price, so
I saw
there's
that.
been a little bit of celebration, yeah, in our community. We minted in late January of this year. So we were in a little bit of a bear. So we've built the brand and the project throughout the bear market. So it's something we're really proud of. We have a really strong community, which shows out whenever we need them to, and it's also building alongside us. And we're just this month we've launched like a lot of new things, and we have our staking platform coming out in a few days. So this has been like a really big month for us, and we're ready to kind of move on to the next phase of our project, starting from here.
Awesome. And you have thousands, if not tens of thousands of people who are excited to see the next phase of your project. For everyone, I'm going to say one more time, it is the Ape Society. They're on the Cardano ecosystem. Now, a big question I want to know is why did you and your co-founders start the Ape Society?
So we've known each other like since the beginning of 2021, and we did a lot of trading together and just hanging out online. We met in a Discord for crypto trading, and about like halfway through the year, we saw a lot of projects, both before kind of NFTs were the main thing, just like in coins and just eventually in NFTs too. And we thought like, with our combination of experience and kind of our hustle and our skill set, we thought we would do a pretty good job, like as a team together, building an NFT project. And we saw like a lot of communities being built out, and we thought like, using our approach, taking things seriously, we thought we could do a pretty good job and put together a community that would um, that would kind of last a long time. And we saw a gap both in Cardano and and overall NFT space of a
Yeah.
lack of serious communities and like founders that were serious about like creating something that could last rather than just like minting a quick cash grab and just running away. And in addition, like we wanted to create a more sophisticated or a different style, not necessarily better, but it's something different in terms of our art style, like the painted
Oh, yeah.
look.
The
We
art
thought
is
that.
dope for sure.
Thank you. We thought that could appeal to a different demographic, and we thought that that could like allow different types of people who maybe don't want the cartoon PFP to participate.
Yeah, and I want to say one thing about that actually is because you kept using the word serious, right? You're like, a lot of these teams aren't taking things seriously, and which is kind of why you started it. You're like, I could probably do this better than they're doing right now. And then you and your friends actually started it. The art actually complements that. It's like a very sophisticated painting style. Like, the apes have top hats and things like that. So it actually kind of goes with the whole reason of like why you started the project. Really cool thing there. Now, I want to get something out of the way in the beginning of the show here, and that is there's a lot of projects involving apes, right? A lot of people call
Mm,
them all derivatives of the Bored Ape Yacht Club. And
yeah.
a lot of people think like the apes are getting overplayed. So, how does the Ape Society kind of separate themselves from basically the horde of ape projects in the NFT space?
Yeah, so kind of, if you look at each chain, like, maybe it's not as true now, but when we launched, it was definitely the case where like every top every top project on each chain was an ape project. And the reason why we wanted to go down that line was, of course, crypto traders refer to themselves as apes and stuff like that, but we wanted to aim to be the top project on the chain. We wanted to be that PFP that like people from Cardano saw themselves in. So like, we felt that like it had the most flexibility in terms of art and in terms of universal identifiability. Like
So
you,
you actually wanted to be not, I'm not going to say similar or like everyone else, but you actually kind of wanted to be recognizable, which is why you went with the apes.
yes, yes,
Okay. Yeah, that
yeah,
makes sense. So
mhm,
it's something that people are kind of comfortable with, and it's something that people recognize in the space, and you kind of played off that a little bit. And you took a little spin with a
yeah,
different art style. It seems like.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Awesome. Okay. Well, tell me a little bit about your project, right? So we have apes, we have cabins, and then we have the society token, right? Am I missing anything with those?
Yeah, that's kind of what we have going on right now. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about each of those things and how they kind of play into the ape society ecosystem.
Okay. So the first thing is the apes, and when we minted 7,000 apes. And another unique thing about our project is that each ape has a full name. So like the name of my ape is Agathon de Medici, and there's no like Ape Society number 5627 or
Oh,
anything
yeah.
like that. It's we wanted people to be identified with the ape name, and the last name is puts them in one of 35 different families, and there are 7 classes, or like you call them like job types. So you have explorers, craftsmen, artists, explorers, military officers, merchants, royal
You have
advisors,
farmers?
nobles. We don't have farmers, but I guess they could be in
Come on, man.
the craftsman group if you want to get into some jobs. But but like yeah, so we kind of have a situation where people can identify with their ape. So a lot of people that are in our community use the name of their ape as their Twitter handle or as their Twitter name or as their just primary online presence and are starting kind of their Web3 persona around that. And then
Wait, real quick
yeah, so
before we go on to the cabins. So
mm,
I can actually kind of bond with my fellow holders and my friends because one, we can be in the same family, and then two, we can be what was it, in the same type or
class.
the same class, right? So if I'm the same class as my boy and I'm the same family as my boy, like we're friends, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And to add on to that, each of the 35 classes has a king. So
Oh,
they have you'll see the apes with like the fancy crown, and there's only 35 of them. So those are like the rarest apes in our collection. And they also have access like a secret room called the round table, where it's just the founders and the kings. And like, a lot of kings are like running events for their family. They're giving people rewards for buying apes
damn.
within their family. The and like the white family, for example, uh the king white is putting a lot of effort in, and there's actually, as of a couple of days ago, there were 0 apes in his family listed. So there's a lot of like
Ooh, okay.
yeah, there's a lot of family dynamics going on and people competing, and I think that's going to increase with time.
Are there any feuds between families?
um I don't know if there's any feuds going on right now. I think there might be some rivalries,
Yet, just
but
none yet.
I'm actually not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, that's kind of the family dynamic. And another thing that I guess is a little bit different about our project is that we do have a DAO. So a portion of the mint funds plus a fifth of the royalty revenue goes into a multi-sig wallet, which is controlled by the community. And there's a council of 9 apes who control that wallet, and they do a bunch of initiatives. They're kind of creating an ecosystem on their own within the project. So they have like a couple 100,000 ADA that they're working with, and they just kind of ran with it.
Who are
and they
the 9
vote
apes?
on proposals. They were elected by the community.
Are any of them the
Um,
kings?
I think two of them are kings
Okay, so it's
off the
it's
top of my
generally
head,
just
but
like
it's not all kings.
just kind of the, I'm not gonna say popular, but the well-known community members.
Yeah, I guess you could say that the most involved community members. Uh, I guess the most popular community members were the ones that ran and are running, and there's like a re-election every quarter. So,
Nice.
but yeah, the whoever kind of wants to be involved just has to show that, and then they can gain the support of the community. It's gone pretty smoothly so far, and yeah, that's like a big thing to watch out for is the DAO aspect because they're building a lot of stuff.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah,
Um,
and we're excited to see kind of what the DAO does. Now, can you tell me a little bit about how the cabins work for your apes?
okay, yeah. So the cabins have several functions. The first function is like on our website. There's a trailer of kind of a 3D world where people will be able to use their cabins as somewhat of like a gallery and hangout spot for their apes. So they'll be able to like we have a bunch of 3D assets and furniture. It's furniture frames, and basically you can create like a little cottage cabin of your different NFTs that you hold on Cardano and potentially in the future other chains. So people can come in and check out your um, your stuff, and you can like put a little nice Web3 3D creation together.
So it's
But
kind of
in
like it's
addition,
kind of like a hangout spot
yeah,
a little bit.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly. It's we didn't want to go like the full metaverse route because that's not kind of what the skill set of our team is. That's not what our budget allows for, and that's not really what we're aiming to do. We just wanted to create kind of a cool gallery interface that people could enjoy from an artistic point of view. Um,
It's all right. The
and
last
then
thing people need is another metaverse. So
exactly,
100% fine with
exactly,
that.
and then in addition, cabins also serve as part of the staking ecosystem, and will play a slight role in some future things that we haven't announced yet. But the staking ecosystem brings me to the society token. And the society token is a token that kind of encapsulates. It's going to be the utility token of our entire ape ecosystem. So we had a airdrop for it that unlisted apes had to received over an 8 week period during the summer, and then later this week we're going to have the ability for to apes to stake people to stake their apes in frames in order to earn society moving forward. And society is going to have a variety of utility use cases. The first is within that cabin ecosystem. So going back to the class system that we had at first, different classes have different perks when it comes to the ecosystem. Some have higher staking rewards than others. But one of the primary things is that the craftsman, which is the lowest class in the society,
Yeah.
has the ability to craft the actual furniture. So they're able to click
Hmm.
craft um, within their panel, and then there's a certain period of time it takes to create the furniture, and then once they have it, they can either put it in their own cabin or sell it on our marketplace to other users, and that whole ecosystem is in society.
Is it safe to
Um,
say that every class is going to have a different skill?
um, it's not really skills per se; it's more so perks. So, like for example, the craftsmen do have like that skill, but like the artists, for example, they have two perks. They get a free frame for the staking portion. And in addition, they have a separate perk of a whitelist boost. So like when it comes to working with other projects, if you hold an artist, you have a much higher percentage chance of winning our whitelist raffles.
Okay, got it.
Uh
So each of the classes has kind of its own little bonus, right?
yeah, yeah. And the bonuses are like I guess you could say better at the bottom of the pyramid.
Okay, cool.
Um
So more people have it.
and then like exactly. And
Nice.
then at the top of the pyramid, there's maybe not be as many bonuses, but then you have like a much higher staking. multiplier, base multiplier.
Okay, cool, cool.
So it can get a little bit complicated,
Yeah. So tell
but
me what I'm going to be able to do
yeah.
with my society token, right? So I'm in the future I stake my ape in my cabin and I get society
Mhm.
token, right?
Yeah, so the first thing that you'll be able to do, we're creating an ecosystem around society. The first thing you'll be able to do is purchase furniture and those items through the ecosystem. Of course, you need the society to purchase frames. And then we also have something called landmarks coming out. And there's a series of landmarks within our city. And each landmark is going to have a different DeFi related use case. And we're through the landmarks, we're building actual DeFi tools and like legit DeFi programs. We haven't revealed any of them just yet. We'll probably reveal the first one next month. And
Will this be something that can be used outside of the society token, or will it just be within the ecosystem?
so it'll vary depending on the landmark, but
Oh, okay.
you don't have to own an ape or a cabin to participate in the ecosystem. We want society to be one of the most transacted tokens on the Cardano um, ecosystem. So yeah, we put like we seeded a lot of the early liquidity using mint funds from the cabin mint, and we've been kind of building this ecosystem around society, which is going to kind of blow up over the next few months. And our goal is to just continue to provide utility there for everybody, not just apes.
Nice. Awesome. So if everything goes perfectly, right? Let's say, you complete everything that we want to happen, you have all the funding, all that. What is the end goal of the Ape Society?
So, we like to kind of refer to ourselves as the a Web3 country club in a way,
Okay.
um, where the people that are in it are able to have an experience that elevates their experience in Web3 in general. So we're all about community and building community. So from the beginning, we've been encouraging everybody in our community to work together to grow and to gain opportunities. So, for example, we have several different partnerships with DeFi protocols that if you own an ape, there are benefits there. Through the DAO, there's a whole bunch of initiatives they're creating. So it's like one thing that they're doing is a Plutus apprenticeship program, and for those that don't know, that's the programming language of Cardano. So it's like people that are in the DAO are going to have the opportunity to potentially join an apprenticeship program put on by the DAO, learn to code, learn skills that they can then uh, use to like use to
To
further their
build,
career
to build.
and build. We have one of our users, Fort Brown, which is the name of his ape, has an entire book that he's written, which is being minted
Hmm.
by book.io. And like he has an entire brand he's built. And like, people are going to be able to form careers, Web3 personas purely from the community. Not only do you have the support of the founders, but the community. And when an ape does something, the goal is that like, oh wow, this person's doing something. Let's check it out. Kind of, there's like several collections that have that kind of clout, whether it's um, board apes or punks, where it's like people can just like start something with that profile picture, and people are like, wow, let me
Yeah,
check this out. Let
it
me give this
sticks
a chance. Yeah, yeah.
and it's
And we
recognizable
kind of
too.
exactly, and we're getting to that point, I guess, on Cardano. I think we've made a lot of progress, and our goal is to make it so that it's recognizable by anybody.
Nice. So, I mean, one thing I want to say is that if you are, if your DAO decides to go forward with the teaching people the programming language of Cardano, I would say make that something that's not a holder exclusive perk after, like, once they're all done with that. Because if you're gonna, because right now you're like top three projects for sure on Cardano, I would say, maybe even top one, depending on how you look at it.
Mm.
I would say don't gatekeep that. That's something that you need to grow your entire ecosystem, right? Like you need more people on Cardano. you need more developers on Cardano. So, you know,
Yeah.
once your apes eat, make sure like you grow the entire space, because you're supposed to be the project to bring everyone, you know? That's one thing I'll say.
Yeah, that's the goal. I mean, as founders, we have like we can't really tell them what to do in terms of that.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm sure they're listening. I'm sure they'll take that advice to like grow beyond the apes once they've kind of figured out the model properly. And you know, there's like a little ecosystem map of stuff that's connected to apes that came out like a week ago, and our goal is like a year from now for it to be like 10 times bigger.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome.
And we're just like touching all sorts of things. But yeah, we don't want to just impact apes. We want to grow the whole ecosystem as much as we can.
Awesome. Yeah, and then so a big question on everyone's mind right now, Cardman, is why are you not doxed as of right now, and do you plan to ever dox?
We don't really have plans to dox. I guess there's like several reasons that I can only speak for myself. There's several reasons that I'm undoxed, and I like kind of the anonym anonymity of crypto, and the fact that like it doesn't make it so that I'm bigger or like it makes me just like somebody else on the chain. I'm not like any sort of personality or anything like that, and I kind of like that. But I guess the bigger reason is I do want to keep my personal life and my business life a little bit separate. You know, like because of how like the blockchain is, I don't want somebody in somebody that I know personally to kind of just be able to look me up and figure out everything about me, my wallet, all those kinds of things. And I kind of prefer to be private about that. Uh, and that's just a personal preference.
Awesome.
And I
Yeah,
think it's worked out okay.
that makes sense. Do you have anything to say to someone who would maybe not want to buy the project because you're not doxed?
I mean, my response to that is there's really not a big correlation between being able to trust a project based on not doxed or doxed. You know, the biggest rugs or whatever you want to call them of the last year, whether it's Wonderland or Luna,
Oh
or
yeah,
you know, there's tons of examples. The founders are doxed to infinity, and like you
that's
know,
true.
what is anybody doing about it? Nothing. So like, and maybe Luna, but like a bunch
Yeah.
of other things. It's like if a project that's less than 5 billion market cap rugs, people have this idea that doxing is going to help them, but nobody's running anybody down. Nobody's John Wick, you know, coming attacking attacking founders who have rugs. So it's like just go check out what work that we're putting in. We're constantly involved in the community. We have no reason to do anything, and exposing our identity is something we just do out of personal preference and to protect ourselves. Um, but you know, if it's something people don't feel comfortable with, that's okay. It's their choice at the end of the day.
Okay, got it. Yeah, that does make a lot of sense, right? There is projects that are docs that are still rugs. There's plenty that are not docs that are still rugs. So I guess at the end of the day, I would say it's on the buyer, right? And it is a concern, but at the end of the day, it's on the buyer. And if the team's showing that they're continuously building and innovating and doing new things, um, then you know to some people it may or may not be a problem. So I do want to talk about a little bit how you're on Cardano, which
Mhm.
recently is a chain that's been getting a lot of attention, seemingly out of nowhere. So why exactly is the Ape Society on Cardano rather than a bigger chain like Ethereum or Solana?
Well, you know, when we started, one of the big things we wanted to do was try to help set a culture of an early ecosystem, especially through our DAO and things like that. We figured if we went on, you know, Ethereum and Solana, we were kind of joining into kind of a very heavily existing culture. And we thought that what we were creating didn't necessarily match that 100%. And we thought that the type of users we were looking for, not just the type of users, but we thought that within Cardano we could create something kind of from the ground up, and not have to kind of live live trying to do the same thing as other projects that have come before us, especially since we had minted so late. And we see a lot of potential in the ecosystem. Um,
So
so yeah,
you
we got
basically
to do
saw
a better
like
job.
ETH. You saw ETH, right? And you said,
Yeah,
I like this. It's big, but I really want to do something that's completely different than this, right? I want a different culture. I don't think this is really what our project stands for. So you went, all right, let's try out Cardano. This is a completely new ecosystem. Maybe we could take this over and even like be the culture pretty much.
yeah, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are kind of doing that. You're one of the biggest projects, so it's definitely working out.
Yeah. And we have a lot of people in our community that like, this is their either their first NFT or the only community that they're part of, and things like that. So we have like a lot of, I guess, forever members, or like people who don't forget like the first community that they're seriously part of. That'll always be like what's closest to their heart, and we wanted to create a community full of those people.
Yep. You never forget your first time, as they say.
Yeah.
Now, so you guys are within the top three NFT projects on Cardano. Debatably, you guys are the number one project right now. I think within the last like 24 hours or 7 days, you do have the most volume, if I'm not mistaken. I believe your contenders right now are the big guys. There's Space Buds and Clay Nation. So, how did
Mhm.
you kind of get to the position you are right now? As in, how are you, within the top three instead of within the top, 50 maybe? What's kind of setting you apart from them?
Well, I guess the biggest thing is we minted like 6 months, 8 months after a lot of these projects. So it's like we started way after. I think there's two big factors. The first is kind of the quality of our art and ecosystem. And during the bear, like people don't pay as much necessarily attention to the art and things like that. But when we did launch, it completely attracted a different type of person, a bunch of new NFT buyers, first time buyers, and a bunch of people that really appreciated the detail that we put in the art. Like not that many
Yeah.
uh, projects use professional artists and professional studios to create everything they're doing. Usually, and there's like a big difference between amateur art and professional art when it comes to stuff like color theory and um, just like the way that it resonates with somebody. So I think we were able to kind of burst onto the scene by doing something of a really high quality. And the second thing is that we are, unlike a lot of other projects, we we are kind of natively multi-chain. So we were able to, especially compared to a lot of users on our chain, like we've used every single other chain, whether it's Ethereum, Solana, Tezos, Polygon. Like we've been everywhere.
What do
So
you
it's
mean? What do
like
you mean you've
we've
used the other chains? What does that mean?
like we all own NFTs, coins, have played in games
So you're familiar and like you
on.
might be known in the other chains, kind of.
No, not necessarily people know us, as in like we've like experienced a lot of different. We're not like in any sort of like echo chamber. So it's like
Oh, okay.
we see the pros and cons of so many different projects, and we kind of use them to, like, most NFT founders have just kind of seen the projects within their own chain or their own ecosystem, and are kind of basing what they do on that. But we've taken like years of experience to kind of create something that's a kind of a combination of 10, 20 different projects.
Nice. Yeah, that definitely makes sense to me. Now, the art is really exceptional, kind of like we were just talking about here. So, how'd you decide on this kind of brush style? Is it just something that you guys stumbled upon, or is it something you said, I want kind of a more luxurious style? How did it come to life?
We did want a more luxurious style. One of the things that uh, it was two things. The first thing was to kind of, we were looking for, like, everything was kind of in the cartoon art area, and we were looking for like what is something that maybe could attract a different type of crowd. who maybe, you know, we saw a lot of negative feedback in terms of people not necessarily wanting to have cartoon photos all the time. And that's not like a knock on those, because I like those as well. But
Yeah, it's just to each their own,
we
you
were
know?
like,
Some people don't like it, some people love it.
yeah,
Yeah, it's that type of thing.
exactly. Um, and then the second thing is like, if you go on the Cardano roadmap site, the there's like drawings of, not drawings, illustrations, paintings of different uh like, I guess, famous paintings from the past and people from the past, and like there's like the Voltaire era and things like that. So if you look at those photos on that site, it kind of looks a little bit like what we created in the NFTs. So we saw like a nice synergy between a painted style and kind of the brand style that the overall Cardano uh, foundation or the Cardano ecosystem uses themselves, that has existed for much longer than like NFT ecosystems.
Nice. Yeah, that does make sense, and I will check that out after this, because that is very interesting. If that it's kind of like an inspiration by Cardano, and now that you guys are on Cardano, that'd be pretty cool. So
Yeah.
one thing that I do want to know is, because you guys are kind of like the big dogs, or I guess the big apes in this case, in the space, does this make a difference when people visit the Cardano chain? Like they see you guys kind of in the top volume 24 hours. Is that a big advantage to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. People, you know, generally, if they're coming from a different chain, go into one of a few projects, and you know, we're one of those. It does make a difference. It does make a difference, especially, you know, you go on JPEG Store, and we're always in the top three at the very least. Um,
Yeah.
you know, even compared to projects that are bigger than us, we've we've always been, for some reason, like the top volume project while we've been around like consistently.
People are they're just aping in. That's it.
Yeah, aping
Yeah.
in, they're aping out.
Yeah, aping in and
Whatever it is.
aping out. That's it, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
So, what's the hardest part about being a project founder in the Cardano ecosystem? Like, what's the biggest kind of challenge you guys have run into, and maybe tell me a little bit about that experience.
I guess the biggest challenge is, I guess we were a little bit of like new kids on the block when we came in. We minted not during the bull run. There wasn't as much excitement around
It's
mints.
tough.
Um, and you know, we didn't necessarily early on get the respect from the established community members that were around, and like it took a while for people to come around to what we were doing, because it was different. There were like different metas going around at the time. One was like DAOs that did like investments in other projects. Um, there was like projects that were doing like many different little mints. And
Yeah.
what we were doing was way coming out of left field with like our classes, with the way we wanted to organize our DAOs to empower them to spend money, not to make money, but to spend money to make the ecosystem better. And you know, we spent probably the first 3 months convincing people of what we were doing. Like, period. We like the first week we were like crazy hype, and we went up from our 100 ADA mint price all the way to like almost 1,000, and then we had like a huge 100K ADA sale within like a
Ooh,
few days,
those are pretty hype.
which at the time, yeah, which at the time was 100,000. But then we got a bunch of FUD because people thought that we were like wash trading or something like that,
Mm.
and it's just been like it was a big fight at the beginning trying to like establish that, you know, this is a legitimate project, and people, I guess, felt a little bit threatened. But you know, over time, as we've kind of continued to prove ourselves, people realize, you know, like all our holders are legit. You can find them all in the Discord, and like that we're continuing to build, we're continuing to do quality, and we're just trying to do the best we can. People have come around, and I think now we're finally seeing kind of the results of the work that we put in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you guys have been going crazy with the memes on Twitter, right? So there's been a lot of new eyes
Yeah,
on you guys, especially because of that, I would
yeah,
say.
hmm yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, the seals coming over. You know, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun, and like, you know, we've been waiting for a moment that we could have other chains interacting, because we've seen the interaction between Ethereum and Solana and how much that did for the Solana network. People were like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
okay, I like some stuff here. And, they were like, Solana has 3x over the past like few months in volume or something like that, from already like a pretty good amount. I know they were at like 10 million monthly, and then they jumped to like 30 million, something like that. So it's like, we've been waiting for a moment to help, start to bring people in. And, we have a long way to go, and there's still not nearly as much volume as we want there to be, but being part of that is exciting.
I mean, the way things are going, right? The volume, it's picking up, and
Yeah,
it may pick up even more. We don't know if the floodgates have opened or this is just a little tease of what's about to go on. It's going to get pretty
yeah,
crazy. But real quick, I do want to ask you, because you have mentioned floor price, how you guys had I believe 100 ADA mint, and then you instantly kind of skyrocketed to 1,000. And now you guys, I think you mentioned in the beginning of this interview, you guys are now the highest floor price on Cardano at this time, correct?
yes, yes.
So is it a plus to have a high floor price? Like, does it come with some prestige, or does it just make it harder for people to kind of join into the ecosystem?
Um, it definitely comes. It's the combination of both. Like, people definitely like what you're doing a lot more when you're when you have a higher floor price, and they're more willing
Yeah.
to check out your thing. But it is tough, especially during the bear. There's a lot of people that do want to get involved, but maybe they don't, have 3,000 ADA to jump in. And that's something that we do think about, and that's why part of why we're creating like the society ecosystem and the cabins, and allowing people that don't have Ape NFTs to still stake their favorite projects.
Mm,
So
okay. So I might be able to stake,
yeah,
let's say, my dirt bird or something in
yeah,
and
dirt birds
earn
will
some
definitely be
society.
one of them. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. So if
okay.
you get a frame and you have a cabin, you can go stake your dirt bird and be part of the Ape Society ecosystem.
Nice. All right. So, I mean, give me a little bit of alpha real quick, right? So we have a family and we have a class. So let's say, a farmer is trying to join into the Ape Society. Is there a class or a family or some type of combination of the two that you recommend for a newcomer to join? Or just kind of pick one on the floor that I like?
Yeah, so I think it depends on what your goal is. We always kind of recommend craftsmen, because craftsmen are the only class that's going to be able to build once we launch that aspect of our platform, and they are the entry level class. So it allows people to earn society token through building and through staking. So that's like, I guess, the most exciting thing for that group if you want to get like super involved in that ecosystem. And but if not, the artist class, which is kind of ranges around the same price, allows people to come in and get a little bit more rewards, but not have to necessarily participate in the staking as much, depending on kind of what your time constraints are and how you want to embrace the ecosystem.
How does the staking work? Is it custodial or does it still stay in your wallet when you stake?
It still stays in your wallet. So like, you're just gonna
So there's
select
no
a frame,
lockup?
select an ape. There's no lockup. There's
Okay.
no
I know a
lockup.
lot of
We
Cardano
initially had
projects do
that.
that. That's not something that you see very often on ETH.
Yeah. I mean, like, we realized like a few things. We were going to do it custodial initially, but like, people like enjoy having their apes in their wallet so much.
Yeah.
Plus, there's a lot of like other projects and other perks that like apes have, and they need to have the ape in their wallet. And rather than like onboarding everybody onto some sort of separate API, we want to allow people to continue to, use their apes as like a pass, and all of those things.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense, and I much prefer that, right? I don't want to have to go to 50 different websites to check out 50 different NFTs just because I'm staking them, which is like the thing that you want me to
Yeah.
do. So, yeah, I think
And
it's
then
good that you guys do that.
there's always like a smart contract risk and like a scammer risk of like people duplicating the website, stealing your apes and stuff like that. So we want
Yep.
to avoid that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. There's always that. There's a lot of that on ETH. How popular is that in ADA? Like, is there a lot of scams going around?
Um, not so many. I guess the biggest scam is like the escrow scam, where like people are trading and then somebody steals their apes either through like a fake website that looks like a trading website, or
Yeah,
just like a social engineering kind of thing.
makes sense.
Um, but yeah, we had a lot of issues with that early on, but then we banned trading in our Discord, and it's pretty much stopped.
That's good. Yeah, definitely don't have that happening in your Discord because then you kind of feel like it's a little bit of your fault because it happened there.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
realistically, it's like
that's
it's not safe to trade unless you know what you're doing or through a trusted third party like a website or a contract or something. Yeah.
yeah. Every day, like I was waking up, and like we're waking up, and it was like somebody lost $1,000 worth of apes, and
Oh
like
yeah, that
for like
sucks.
5 grand, and it was just like I was feeling sick, like, and like people were working hard to get an ape, and they would just get it stolen. So it was tough.
That does make sense. And I want to talk about a little bit your point earlier. You mentioned that you will be able to frame an NFT from a different project and then use it to actually stake and earn society token, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What projects can we expect to be able to frame? And are there maybe some that you've already had a partnership right now that you can mention that you'll be able to frame and for sure earn the society token?
So the second part of the framing is going to be like those artwork being able to be put in the 3D cabin. So essentially, like we're gonna be approving the majority of like legitimate projects. If you have like a top 10, top 20 project, those are probably gonna be automatic. And then we're just gonna be adding a large percentage of them in. We want people to be able to show off the art that they like. And
So this
yeah, we're
isn't
just gonna
like
make sure.
you don't really need the permission from the other teams, right? Because you could just like
No.
scan their wallet and be like, okay, this is what it is. Put the image there.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's just about allowing people like freedom to use what they want. Even like the other top blue chip projects on the chain, whatever they want to use. And we're just trying to filter out like rugs or people like spamming the art with just like an NFT they just mint, like,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's
just
just like a random picture of nonsense.
some
Yeah,
random bullshit or like something inappropriate or any of that.
exactly, exactly.
Got it, got it. And I want to ask you about maybe some partnerships. Do you have any planned partnerships that you have recently announced or anything like that that you think could benefit the Ape Society? Preferably with other
Um,
projects, protocols, anything like that.
One of the big ones we do have right now is with Lending Pond, which is a P2P loaning uh, protocol on the network, and it allows people to give loans for NFTs. And I think apes are like the kind of the most popular loan on there. But only certain projects are allowed to supply the actual money for the loan, and apes are one of those projects. So we have a partnership there. Um,
Nice.
that's We don't have a ton right now, but like with the Vassal hard fork, there's a lot of projects that are going to be launching over the next few months that I've been kind of waiting for that to come out, and we are in talks with several of them to bring additional benefits in those projects to ape holders.
Awesome, awesome. Are there any projects that you maybe want to mention right now that you're interested in working with or working something out with? I know you mentioned Dirtbirds is going to be able to be staked. I feel like your community and theirs could really get along well together.
Yeah, I mean, Dave, the founder of Dirtbirds, and we chat all the time in DMs,
Oh, nice.
and like kind of support each other in terms of our projects. Just and we're probably going to do like a Spaces or something like that soon. But yeah, I mean, we're talking to them. We're talking to the mutants, um, and we've had some like different art collabs with some smaller projects that we're probably going to kind of go a little bit deeper in as the year closes on. So, but anybody that's like building stuff, we always want to work with them. We always want to create cool things.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, I want to ask you a few things about some other NFT projects on on let's say Ethereum, for example. Is there any
Mhm.
project that you kind of look up to on Ethereum, and maybe you want to, one day reach the amount of volume they have, or you want to do something similar to them, or maybe just a project that you like?
On Ethereum, the
Yes.
project that I most like on Ethereum, and a lot of people may not like this answer, because of the controversy surrounding them, is Azuki actually,
Ooh, ooh, that's a spicy one.
and and
That's a
I know
spicy one.
like I know that like people don't like a lot of the things that have come out about them, but if you take that out and like I haven't looked fully into the situation 100%,
I mean, they were
and I'm
he
just
was
like
learning.
talking.
He was learning, right? Zagabond was
Yeah,
learning.
yeah, it's definitely wrong, and like I don't support that at all in terms of that aspect. But in terms of the way that they did the brand, and in terms of like
Very
the
well done.
completeness from beginning to end, it's like to me it's like the best NFT project when it comes to a full brand that can actually translate to web 2 and to just like the rest of the world. Like they could go make a game, they could go make an actual anime, they could go make streetwear,
They can
and
make
like
action
people that aren't.
figures,
Yeah.
clothes, streetwear. Yeah, for real. There's so many things that you can do
Hmm.
with the Azuki brand just because of the
Yeah,
the colors of it, the vibe of it, everything like that. That's a good point.
exactly. And people outside, I think the biggest thing is like if they saw it, they wouldn't even know it was an NFT brand. Whereas opposed to like apes, for example, board apes, like people would be like, I mean, it looks out of place a little bit. Like no offense to board ape holders, but it's like it's obvious that it's an NFT. Um, and that's something that inspires me a lot. The way that they did that,
Yeah,
like
I do agree. I'm not a big fan of Azuki, if I'm being completely honest, but I gotta respect
mhm.
them, right, for what they've done.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
definitely learned a lot, but
Yeah, yeah. No,
I
I agree with you 100%. Just like solely from like a branding perspective.
yeah,
If it
definitely.
was like not Zagabond running it, for example.
Yeah, of course. And I don't know, I just
Mhm.
randomly thought of this, but I need some real utility from the Ape Society. I want you guys to
Mhm.
launch like the Ape Society cigars. All right. You guys need to have a cigar lounge. I mean,
Yeah.
these apes are just, there's some gentlemen. I'm not going to lie. Just look at the art. Like they got some of them got the top hats, even yours, he has the feather. This man's styling out here. They got the nice brush strokes. We need some Ape Society like cigars airdropped IRL to holders immediately.
Yeah, I mean cigars, whiskey, those kind of things like though they're heavily requested.
Oh, for real?
I mean, yeah, yeah,
Let's
like
go.
everybody wants them, and like we've done some preliminary work on that stuff, but
Oh,
when it
really?
comes to
Ooh.
when it we do run into some challenges when it comes to selling like cigars and liquor and things like that.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
little bit tougher than like other types of merch,
Then
which like we'll
socks.
be releasing first, yeah. And like we do have some merch coming up soon, which is going to be a little bit different than usual merch. And we have some partnerships regarding merch that we're working on. But if one day we can figure out a solid way to do the cigars and like the whiskey or like some sort of liquor or something, that's something that I think would be really exciting. And like the branding on it would look crazy.
Oh, yeah. I can only imagine that because the art just would go so well with it. I could even imagine the box and
Yeah,
everything. Whiskey, I feel like would be
yeah,
super hard because you got to get like, I'm not sure how it works, but I think you have to get a liquor license and all that. But it
exactly.
like
Yeah,
with this kind of gentleman thing, I mean, there's so much you guys could really do in the future. You could even make like a shaving kit or something like that. And that could be like your
that's a good
entrance to
one.
Web 2. Like there's so much stuff that you can do with these apes just because of the art that you added to them. And I hope you
I'm
guys
writing
get
that
like
down.
I hope you guys get really creative with that because I don't really
Hmm.
think there's many projects with the same vibe as what you guys have created. And I think it's kind of like
Yeah,
your competitive advantage in the space.
for sure. If we make a shaving kit, I'm sending you a free one. That's an excellent idea.
Yeah, I want a free ape too, man. I don't even have an ape yet. um, but yeah, so moving on to kind of the back end of the interview here. you're on Cardano. It's not the biggest chain, but we're gaining a lot of traction. Do you recommend a new founder to launch a project on Cardano, or would you recommend they just go the safer route with, let's say, Ethereum?
I think it depends on the project. Uh, if you have like a crazy budget, I'm gonna be honest, you're probably gonna go with Ethereum if like you have a tons of resources, if you're like a marketing agency or whatever it is. But if you are trying to do something new, and you are a hardworking founder, the benefit of going with a slightly smaller chain is that like you do have a chance to compete um, early on. Like you do have the opportunity to come in and like if you create something of quality, you will get good attention, and you can become one of the top projects. It's realistic. And in addition, like you can see whether the technology and like the tools that are offered in Cardano fit what you're trying to do as well.
That 100% makes sense to me. It's like when you launch on Cardano, you are basically going against, let's say, 100 projects. When you launch on Ethereum, you're going against maybe 10,000 projects, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a lot tougher when you're launching on another chain. And the next thing I want to go over is that so you're the founder of you're the co-founder of the project. You have, I believe it was two other co-founders, right?
Yes.
Okay. Who are they, and what are all of your guys' roles in the Ape Society?
So it's Congo and who on Twitter is Panzerati and Matassa. Um, the three of us, like, I guess there's not really like super defined roles. We kind of do everything together. But I guess in some ways, like, like Matassa has come up with like a lot of ideas when it comes to like the finer details of like the classes and like the society ecosystem, running all the numbers and tokenomics, all that kind of stuff kind of primarily comes from his end. Congo has done a lot of the marketing work, the outreach, helping create the ecosystem within our community in terms of creating the culture. He's super present, and he's done a lot of the done a lot of like the cross chain reach out and marketing and things
Very
like
well
that.
done, by the way.
Yeah. And then I guess on my end, um, I'm a developer, and I also I guess kind of helped kind of on the brand front, like doing the art direction and things like that, and a lot of the branding kind of things until we hired an additional person to kind of help in the brand department.
Got it. And then do you guys have any other team members, or is it just you three?
We do. We have uh, Laura, which is our who is our community manager. We have MP who kind of managed created our rebrand and our new logo and our brand kit, which has really taken us to the next level. Those two are like kind of like fully on the team. And then we also work with a lot of different contractors and part-time individuals, whether it's on the dev side or the art studio that we're contracted with. They don't exclusively work on apes. They also have their own. They're like an award-winning studio that creates films and things like that, short films. So yeah, we're working with them, and they're a small studio of a few artists. So there's like 10, 15 to 15 people, different people that are kind of touching the project in different ways.
Nice. So it sounds like about maybe 5 to 6 core members, and then quite a few freelancers, contractors on top of that.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. So, Cardman, why don't you go ahead and basically tell them why they should buy an ape from the Ape Society, as well as kind of where to follow you, where to find you, and everywhere they should go to support the project.
Yeah. So if you want to be part of a community that is one of the tightest, most organic communities on any chain, and if you want to be part of kind of one of the biggest DeFi experiments that is happening in NFTs over the next 6 months, check us out. You can enter either through society token, our cabins, or go all the way to purchase an ape. Explore our different classes, explore the different artwork, the different traits, and just pick out something you like at the end of the day. Even as earlier I was talking about the different perks and stuff like that, if that's something you're interested in. If you want to check us out, there you can go to our site, apesociety.io, and that's going to be updated in some ways very soon. You can follow us on Twitter, the underscore ape underscore society. You can follow me at the real Cardman. And if you just join our Discord, if you find our Discord and ask any questions, there are people online chatting nonstop, 24/7. It's really a family.
I can
And
vouch for them. That's very true.
yeah, and we're one of those communities, along with like seals and stuff like that, that are just like so tight in terms of
Yep.
the people. And it's a nice spot. It's a nice spot to be. So like, check us out if you do have the chance, even if you don't want to buy an ape. Just come say hi.
Definitely. And guys, below here in the description, we will definitely have the links to just about all of those things. I will say real quick that he was not kidding when he said people are in the Discord 24/7. Not only that, is that they have made their kind of entire online persona based around their ape. Cardman mentioned in the beginning of this interview that each ape has a unique name rather than a number. Like, ape 632 or 043. There's none of that. Each one has a unique name. It belongs to a family. And, you can actually maybe even bond closer with the people in your family. And I've actually seen some people say like, thanks king to their king, stuff like that. Not in a weird way. Just like, they genuinely like having fun with each other and things like that. So go hit up the Discord. Even if you're not even planning on buying an ape, just go meet some people and say what's up. And we're going to go ahead and wrap this up, guys. Once again, my name is Farmer Nash. And remember to keep farming, everybody. Have a good one. I forgot to say this, but remember to subscribe and like the video. Subscribe and like, subscribe and like, subscribe and like.